Thanks. Okay, let's get into it. So, Premio Pay plan, we've got some important principles that this is all based upon. So, Premio Pay, the way that we all see things here on the corporate side, we have some important principles that we want to make sure everyone's aware of. Let's get into it. So, keep it simple, right? We really want to make sure that we can make a powerful compensation plan that's as simple as possible while maintaining the elements that are necessary to make it so powerful so that the people who are here to build a business have the opportunity to really make a check. Keep it simple. No word games, right? I love how Gordon says it. Gordon's always like, other comp plans are often touting how much their compensation plan pays up to or as much as. Word games like that. We're all about keeping these very clean and clear, no word games, transparency and accountability, right? When we say 50% of every CV unit gets paid out, we mean it. And we show you transparently and accountably how we do that.
So a lot of those companies will say we pay up to 66%, but when you actually get down to the grassroots of it, it's really very few people are getting that amount.
Right,
it's much less than that on a more common basis.
And usually that's due to breakage and other things that many of you are aware of that happen within a lot of traditional standard compensation plans within the space. So this next point, really important. Don't mess with people's rice bowls. So rice bowl, that's something that you feed yourself and your family out of, right? And we know that people who are here to build a business through this opportunity, this becomes an important part of your rice bowl, a way to feed yourself, to feed your families, to take care of your dreams and your hopes. And so we, as one of our founding principles, to not mess with the compensation plan. So we've worked really hard at looking at the compensation plan, refining it, creating it, and getting it to where it is so that we can have it be a stable thing now, next week, next month, next year. So that's not something where in 2 months we're like, oh, let's change this and this and this, and that messes things up. Or, hey, let's have the compensation plan dialed in such a way that it can make somebody drop out of a certain requirement really easy, because then it flows up to the company, right? We don't want to do that. We want to create alignment, transparency, alignment, simplicity, not messing with people's rice bowls, right? Because we want corporate to be aligned with you. We want you to be aligned with each other. And so we're all about making this a very synergistic, unified, stable compensation plan. Because ultimately, if it's not simple, if it's got word games, if it's not all these things, it's going to create confusion, and the confused don't buy, and the confused don't build. So we want to avoid that. These are our founding principles for the compensation plan. Here's some of the unique selling features, right? Selling features aren't always as exciting as the actual compensation plan numbers, but the features is what makes the compensation plan so powerful. And so these features are actually really exciting. So weekly, monthly, quarterly commission opportunities, right? We want to get money in your pocket fast with some weekly opportunities. We want to keep consistency with some monthly commissions coming in. And we want to create big check opportunities with quarterly commission opportunities through some things like some global bonus pools and things that we'll get into. So we've got a good flow of opportunity and quick money, middle money, longer term money, and how that grows. 50% payout on every CV unit. And how do we do that? We do that through something called dynamic compression. We'll get into that, what that is, how that works. A lot of you are familiar with that, have experienced that. A great quote that I've heard, I don't know who it's directly attributed to, but might be Ray, somebody else, but it's
Ray. Yeah.
It's Ray. Yeah. Basically, I'll probably butcher the quote a little bit, but it's basically like dynamic compression is a lot more fun to experience than to explain. But we want you to understand it. We can explain it simply and clearly because it's a very powerful component of a good compensation plan.
And I want to clarify something here. Every company is going to talk about compression, but there's a very different thing between compression and dynamic compression. And we'll get into this in a moment. But honestly, guys, this is a huge differentiator. Huge.
Yeah.
And we're structuring our own company's profit and loss and everything around the fact that we will pay out 50%. And it's structured to do that for a reason. Yeah, there's a lot of hearts there for a good reason, let me tell you. Big difference. And the difference is ginormous when it comes to what goes out to the field, so.
Yeah.
I think that's an important point that you just reminded me of something, but when you said the way that the corporate side is structuring our finances, the way that we manage our side of the business, that's really important because I think one of the reasons, and we'll get into some of these examples here in the future, but one of the reasons why we see a lot of other companies out there who like breakage, they like these massive CV splits that we're starting to see out there, all these other things that are not aligned with your efforts, is because frankly, I think in some cases, it's just plain they're being lazy or not managing the corporate side effectively. Because ultimately, it's up to us to make sure that we're managing what we're doing, our hiring practices, how we're managing our growth, and all those things, how we're doing our manufacturing, our costs, our expenses. We should be very, very focused on doing a good job at that so that we don't have to mess with the compensation plan, so that we don't have to do things that create breakage that would cause us to be not aligned with you. It's very important that we're very focused on making sure that we're good managers of our own side of the business so that we don't mess with or hurt your side of the business, so that we can be aligned and unified.
And don't misunderstand compression with dynamic compression, okay? Just
Yeah, when we get to that,
we'll
let's make sure we clarify that, because that is an important point. Thank you.
So I think this is important to address now before we get through the compensation plan, but somebody asks, what is a CV unit? That's something that we're going to be talking about through this presentation, is that you're going to see PV, you're going to see CV, and you're going to see QV. PV is just your personal volume. That's something that you've personally purchased. A lot of times that's going to match up to the QV. The QV is the qualifying volume. That's the amount of volume that you're assigned based off of a product purchase that's going to help you qualify for different bonuses, different ranks, and things like that. CV, to answer the question, is commissionable volume. That's the amount of volume that we're actually paying out on. So you're going to see those three terms as we're going through this presentation: commissionable volume, qualifying volume, and personal volume.
That's a really good point. For those who are newer to the space, or maybe you've come from a different company that maybe uses different terminology, we'll be sharing some new terminology with you, but know that we're going to continue to have these meetings over and over again. There's others that you know here on the call, and that might have invited you to the call, that probably have some good experience here that can also help you understand and educate on that. And then we'll also be putting out some different videos and other information. So we'll continue to educate you. We want to make sure that you understand this, that it's clear, and that you know how to then maximize the opportunity for yourself. So thank you for those questions, and definitely please keep them coming so that we can make sure that we're being clear in the way that we're explaining it, and also in the material that we're creating to help that education. So easy price points, right? We want to keep things easy and simple in how we price things, so that one, it's competitive with any other kind of products that are in the health and wellness space. But two, because we want it to be easy for you to understand and calculate and see how the commissions would flow. Minimal CV split, we'll get into more of that, but we're seeing some really unfortunate situations in the industry, and we'll have an example of some of those that some of you are familiar with or seeing out there. Global bonus pools, really important piece, right? So our general structure, you'll see it, but we call it a baseline structure, but essentially it's a unilevel structure. But some of these different things like dynamic compression, bonus pools, 50% payout on every CV unit, it allows us to take a unilevel structure, which is a good structure in general in a network marketing structure, but really amplify it and juice it to a whole different level for business builders and those who are really trying to drive forward and build a company or a business around this opportunity. And lastly, but not leastly, again, simplification. We're simplifying where we can to allow minimal structural requirements so that it's easier for you to understand how to maximize the opportunity and to build your business. So these are some of the unique selling features. Let's move on. The basic focus is me plus 3 in the Premio Pay plan. Me plus 3, everybody knows at least 3 people that would potentially be interested in either product or building a business or some aspect of this, right? So me plus 3 is what it takes to start building a business and an organization in the Premium Pay plan. So we talked about weekly incentives. This is our weekly commission opportunity. Sprints is what we call it. So sprints is a weekly payout, and it's based upon essentially the first order of your personally enrolled people. It would also include your first order. So first order, you get 25% off of the first order of somebody that you personally enroll. The requirement for that is that you just have an active account. There's no specific PV requirement or anything else. If you've got an active account, you're in a business builder position, either as a distributor or affiliate, 25% override on personally enrolled orders. Now, if you are in a position where your monthly personal premiums a month, then you qualify to earn a second level on these initial first orders of 10%, right? So the person who personally enrolled would get 25%, and if they were then downline from you and you were next in line from that person, you would get 10% if you were at that qualifying level of 200 QB for that month. Then you can see kind of the breakdown of how then the rest, because again, 50% of every CV unit gets paid out, and that's how the others break out in the sprints. It'll break out a little bit differently when we get to the baseline unit level, but I want you to understand that in the sprint, this is how that breaks out. This is the first time we've clearly clarified this. So we have a global bonus pool. We'll get into more details on that in a little bit. We have an elite bonus pool, which is another level of bonus pool that you can participate in at a certain leadership level. And then we have an incentive pool. And so 5%, 5%, 5% of these initial orders go into these different pools. The incentive pool is essentially a pool that allows us to put out different types of rewards and opportunities and incentives and maybe competitions and some other things like that that will be a lot of fun along the way to give you additional earning opportunity, as well as we'll get into it, but some trip opportunities and a variety of different rewards that we're going to put out there. So all that combined, 50% payout on every CV unit. So baseline, this is the monthly payout. Similar to what you would experience as a unilevel structure. So baseline monthly payout. So let's get into this. There's a lot here. Okay, so there's four basic components, and the four basic components as far as how to move yourself up the levels, and you want to move yourself up the rank levels because it gives you a bigger piece of the pie and more earning potential, as you can see down below. So if you're just a rep means you're just in to start building a business, 0 to 99 in qualifying volume. That means you have an active account, you're getting started. There's not really any specific purchase requirements. You get one level, 5% payout. So if you sell to a customer or you bring somebody else into the business, you'll be able to, after their sprint bonus you'll be able to make 5% off of that. If they then start to bring people on their second level, you won't get anything off of that unless you level up to a Brava rep. So that's the next rank. Brava rep, that's essentially similar to a rep, except for now you're actually participating more heavily in your own personal volume at 100 QV per month, and that then gives you a second level. So already you're at 10% on your payout and your earnings to 2 levels. Now, to move up to a Kappa, you're starting to actually build a little bit of a business organization here. So to Kappa is similar to some of you in a past life are familiar with a 1K. So Kappa is essentially you're again 100 QV in your own personal qualifying volume. You've enrolled 3 people personally with 100 PV each. So that's 3 personal enrollments. Placed wherever. The placement doesn't have to be directly frontline to you. You can place them within any of your first 3 levels of the organization that you're starting to build here. Then the third requirement is that you have to start having 3 teams or 3 branches, right? Legs, branches, teams, right? So think of it as 3 teams. Now those teams the team leaders can either be your personally sponsored direct placements on your first level there, or They can be somebody that's been placed by someone, a leader in your upline who is helping you out, or if you're helping somebody else out. So a qualifying team can either be your direct placement or from an upline placement. So again, 100 QV from you personally, 3 personally enrolled with 100 PV each, 3 teams, and then an overall organization volume within your business or your building of 1,000 group qualifying volume. So 1,000 qualifying volume in your overall group organization. That gives you level 3, 10%. Now you may ask, why 10% on the third level? Everything else is 5. Why 10% on the third level? Here's the reason why. We've thought a lot about this. It's been proven out in past experiences as well. Most people can build, historically speaking, and looking at the general space of network marketing, most people can build to 3 levels. But the challenge then, a lot of people kind of hit a roadblock at that third level. And it becomes challenging to kind of move beyond that. And so by putting that, there's a couple reasons. This is one of them. Putting that 10% payout at the third level really focuses people on driving to that and creating momentum to that third level, which then creates further momentum down from there automatically, because then those people are then driving to 3 levels and beyond. The other component of this is that in a lot of compensation plan structures, you've got no middle class. You've got a lot of people that are just starting to build and they're spending time and energy and effort. You got really a very deserty middle area of people earning anything. And then you've got a few people up at the top earning big checks. But without a middle class, it's hard to keep stable longevity in both the corporate side and in you building your businesses. So that 10% in there is very specifically placed to help drive momentum, longevity, and opportunity across the board. So that's why it's placed there.
Very strategic.
Yeah, very strategic, and it's proven out in past models and in current models that we model out. So, Kappa. Then the next rank, jump up to a Quinto. So that's similar to, in some of your history, a 5K. So essentially 100 QV for your personal. Again, maintain 3 personally enrolled with 100 PV. And those teams now need to grow and expand to be 1,000 qualifying volume in each team. Each team or branch needs to have 1,000 qualifying volume. And your overall group volume in the whole organization within your structure, 5,000 in qualifying volume. The reason that is because you're going to naturally have, one team might be bigger than the other, and there's going to naturally be differences, and those are not all going to be exactly 1,000, 1,000, 1,000. And so the overall is 5,000.
One thing to note here too is that those don't need to necessarily all 3 be a Kappa rank themselves. However, they could be.
True.
So you could train your 3 individuals to hit that rank of Kappa, and then that would automatically get you your 3 teams of 1,000 QV each. However, that's not required, because you could have somebody who has 1,000 QV, but maybe they aren't hitting those other portions of the Kappa.
That's a really good point. But in general, yeah, I think if you're really looking at how to maximize and build this, we've mentioned the word before, duplication, right? You want to understand this. You want to understand how to structure what you're building, and then how to teach and train other people how to do the same. And so I would say that that's a very good way to think of it and to structure it and to work towards that. But it's a good point. So that then gives you another 2 levels. When you hit Quinto and you maintain that for a given month, you qualify for now a 4th and a 5th level at 5% each. At this point, you're really starting to see some growth and some dynamics happen in the business that you're building. So then to move up to Eventi, you've got to up your game in your own personal QV. So 200 QV, that's like 2 Prima, or some of the other products added in there that we're introducing. Now we also want to have you up your game in leadership with 4 personally enrolled people. Now personally enrolled, that means a customer or a business builder or an affiliate. It could be any of those, right? In any of these scenarios, personally enrolled just means a customer, a business builder, a representative, or an affiliate. It doesn't have to be one or the other. It could be any of those. So at Eventi, it's 4 is the rank qualifier. Your teams now, 3 teams, but each of those teams qualifier now needs to be at 5,000 in their group volume. And overall in your organization, 20,000 in group volume in your overall organization. That bumps you up to Venti, which then adds another 2 levels of depth, 6th level, 7th level at 5%. So now you're at 5, 10, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40% at a venti. Now, stepping up to the next rank, Premio, something special happens here. You now become eligible for the global bonus, and we'll get into that next. So you become global bonus eligible, and you start participating in that additional compensation pool. And here's the requirements here. So 200 personal QV each month, 5 personally enrolled with 100 PD each. One of your teams now, out of the 3, one of your teams needs to be at 5,000 in qualifying volume, and 2 of your teams need to have leveled up to that 20,000 in qualifying group volume. Again, as Adam pointed out, it doesn't mean that those team leads need to be a venti necessarily, but the actual volume in those teams needs to be at that level. And then your overall organization, 50,000 in overall qualifying volume within your organization. So then you get that 8th level, 5%. So boom, that's 45% paid up through 8 levels. It's a very generous, healthy compensation plan that allows you to go very deep. And me plus 3 gets you there. But ultimately, those who maximize the ability to go deep and wide will have a chance to win. But you'll all have a chance to win through just this simple structure. This will build very healthy checks and very healthy businesses. So looking at me plus 3, but that doesn't stop you from building additional legs.
Well,
Or
you
if you
need
just
additional
want to.
legs. I mean, as you pointed out too, like Eventi and Premio, you do need those additional legs. So start with your 3, but then also have in the back of your mind that you're going to eventually need some additional legs above and beyond those 3 you started with.
Well, potentially, yeah. Potentially there's some additional things that would allow you to scale beyond that into other areas. So we've got additional ranks that we're looking at and dialing in right now that we'll share later as we get those dialed in. But really, getting up to a Premio is going to build you a very healthy organization, a very healthy check, and gives you global bonus eligibility. But ultimately, there's just those 4 key factors that you need to think about here on the right side. 1, your personal volume. 2, your personal enrollments. 3, your team structure. 4, your group qualifying volume. That's it. That's the way that you level up and move from rank to rank, and that's how you teach and lead your team.
And just think of those as check marks every single month when you're looking at your qualifications. 1, do I have my personal volume? Check. 2, do I have my personal enrollments? Yes, check. Just check those boxes each and every month, and that'll tell you exactly what your rank qualifications require, but also where you're at. In your back office, we've already seen a glimpse of the back office is going to actually be able to lay that out for you as well. It's going to be really cool and nifty for you guys to see.
And it's okay to go wide. Like, we're kind of encouraging people to go wide. Like Adam said, you get the 5-person spot. You want to do that right from the beginning anyways. If you can get a bunch wide, that's not a bad thing in this comp plan.
No, it's not a bad thing
To have personally sponsored close to you.
Yeah, but the great thing is that this compensation plan is built so that the way that you decide that works best for you and how you want to build a business, there's ways that all of you can participate. But really, the core of it is me plus 3. And from there, you can expand out and grow your business to unlimited width and 8 levels deep, and however you want to do that in there. So down on the bottom right here, you see that it breaks out where that other 5% goes, right? Because these 8 levels, 45% through the unilevel baseline here, and then that other 5% for the total of 50%, that other 5% is pushed into the global bonus pool. So this is going to create a very large and healthy global bonus pool. But we'll get into that in a second. Let's go through a few basic examples of how the structure here works. So to qualify for a Kappa, it's just 3 teams, you at your 100 QV, your overall group organization volume at 1,000 organization volume, GQV, and you've got 3 teams, either personally placed by you as a team lead or somebody from your upline has placed a team lead, and each of those team leads has at least 100 QV, right? That's a Kappa. Pretty simple, straightforward. A lot of people will hit this pretty quick off the bat. Now to level up to a Quinto, you at your 100 QV, your overall group volume, organization volume at 5,000 GQV. You've got, again, those 3 teams, me plus 3 teams, 100 QV for those 3 personal placements that you have. They can either be personally frontline to you or down in your organization, but you've got to have at least 3. And then each of your teams, 1,000 group volume in each of those teams. Pretty straightforward. Venti, You've got to add one more for 4 personal sponsors. That doesn't mean one more team. It just means 4 personal sponsors somewhere within your organization. They can all be within the same, your personal sponsors throughout this whole situation could all be within the same team if you want, depending on the way that you want to structure it. But I would suggest, talk to people who have built these kind of organizations before, get some advice and guidance on how to do this in an effective way. I'm just saying that is an option. It doesn't have to all be frontline to you. Your personal enrollments do not have to be the ones that are the team leads. You can put them all in the same team if you'd like to. So at Venti, it's 4 personally sponsored enrollments, 3 teams. You're now jumping up to 200 QV in your monthly qualifying personal volume. Your overall group organizational volume is 20,000 in group qualifying volume. And then again, you've got 4 personally sponsored, each at 100 QV each, and 3 teams at 5,000 team volume in each of those teams. And then for Premio, you're adding 1 more for 5 personally sponsored, right? Again, don't all have to be personally sponsored frontline. They can be placed anywhere within your first 3 levels. You're at 200 QV for your personal, 50,000 for your overall group organizational volume, and then 5 personally sponsored. I think there might be a typo here on, I'm not sure. There might be a typo on your personally sponsored 200 QB on some of those, so ignore that, please. We'll correct that. But each of the 3 qualifying teams, you've got 2 of them that need to be qualifying at 20,000 team volume, group volume, and 1 of the teams that needs to be at least 5,000 group volume. So
each of those, just to clarify, each of those 5 would be 100 QB each. So
Yeah,
that is wrong.
That's a typo there. So we'll correct that. So here is an example So here's an example, made up competitor name, but the numbers that we're using are actually not really all that far off from reality that we're seeing out there in the world, and that some of you have experienced in some of the other compensation plans or structures that you've worked in over the last few years. It's a really crazy and atrocious thing that's happening with these CV splits, but let's run through this example, because this is actually something that's happening out there, and it's not okay. But Nutriflop, this made-up company, let's say that you either buy $220 worth of product or you sell $220 worth of product in this example. The commissionable volume value that you get for that is 110 CV. That's only 50% CV that they're giving you on a $220 purchase. That's pretty egregious and a really crazy thing
that is fairly common.
Yeah, it's unfortunate to see that out there, and it's a bad direction for the space to go. So if you then break that down, not only are they then cutting that CV in a 50% fashion in this example, but they're also then paying out 33%. Could be a range of anywhere from 30 to 35. We know that 33 is a good middle number that we've seen out there. 33% of that CV is the actual commissionable cash compensation, which totals $36.30 that's being paid out in their commission structure. So on a $220 purchase, the actual cash being paid out in commissions and bonuses, $36.30. It's pretty wild. So in that same type of scenario with Oliabo, with Premio Pay, $220 product purchase or sale that you made through the Premio Pay Oliabo plan would have a commissionable volume of 200 CV. The total payout on that CV is going to be 50%. So the actual cash paid out on a $220 purchase or sale, the commissionable cash paid out is $100. So that's essentially like buying 2 Prima at 220, CV of 200, payout of $100 that's paid out through that baseline unilevel example.
Which you can see right there, that's a huge gap between $36.30 being paid out and $100 being paid out.
Huge gap.
Almost 3 times the amount.
Almost 3 times, and then you see kind of like for example, those examples on the bottom right. That's if it was paid out in for example, like a 5% payout level. In this example, a 5% payout level from Nutriflop would give you $3.63. A 5% payout level through Premio Pay with Oliabo would pay out $10. It literally is almost a 3x difference. So you decide, but if that's what's out there in the world, who do you want to be spending time with? Where do you want to be putting your energy and building a business with? I would suggest it's fairly clear.
Can you go back one slide? I want to clarify
Yes.
something. Okay, I want to clarify on this slide. The reason that you have your two individuals with 200 QV is because to be a Premio, you have to have two levels that are venti. And to be a venti, you have to have 200 QV. So that's why this slide shows 200 QV on those two individuals.
Good point. So that is accurate, right? So
Yep.
yeah, that makes sense. So hopefully that clears things up. We'll probably improve, we'll make some tweaks to these slides to give these examples a little bit more clarity. But yeah, thank you. That was good call. Okay, let's get into some dynamic compression.
Awesome.
Well, first let's explain, talk about the difference between compression and we're calling it streamlined compression, but dynamic compression versus compression. There's various ways that people are maybe saying dynamic compression, but they're doing something different, but get into the differences.
Basically, a streamlined compression takes away the role that if a person doesn't qualify, then generally what happens is that will go up to the company. There's a pretty big gap.
Yeah.
And Adam's going to get into the, like, he's going to show a clear
kind
view
of
of
how
dynamic.
it'll
But
cut
what-
off.
when you say compression, when people throw out the word
Well,
compression,
volume will
what do they mean?
compress up. That's when generally volume just compresses up in a compensation plan. So it's not necessarily just compression. This is allowing it to just keep searching up the line until it finds the next qualified
So
person.
that
It'll
it
pay out.
always pays out.
It always pays out.
pays
It's
out.
a huge
Yeah, so
difference.
go
Massive.
to these.
Yeah,
go
so
through
I
these
think of it
examples.
as kind of like a smart compression because it's gonna be very dynamic in looking at, okay, who qualifies to get this commission? We need to pay somebody. Who are we gonna pay for this? And so this example that you guys
And to that point, in a traditional comp plan, it just goes up to the company.
yeah,
In this case, it just keeps searching, and Adam will walk you through how that does, but it'll just keep searching to the person who qualifies. So it doesn't come up to the company. That's how we can always save 50%. And it's,
absolutely. So if you'll click on the first one here. So what we're doing is we're looking at the very first order, or not necessarily the first time somebody orders, but we're looking at the order from the bottom, and we're gonna pay that in a structure looking upwards. So if you look at the bottom of the screen, you're gonna see a new 100 CV order comes in this organizational example. So we're gonna pay this out. So we look at the first up line, which is a rep. So Curtis, if you'll click to the next one. Oops. There we go. Okay, so we're looking to pay out level 1 on the dynamic compression structure. So level 1 is going to be 5% pay. And if you look at the graph on the right side of the screen, you can see that a rep qualifies to get paid on level 1. So yes, we're going to pay that rep. We're going to pay them $5 because that's 5% of 100 CV. Now we're looking at paying out a level 2. So who qualifies to get a level 2? Again, if you look at your graph or your chart on the right side of the screen, you're going to see a Brava rep is what we need to be able to pay out to a level 2. So if you'll click the next one, you're going to see that this person's not a Brava rep, they're just a rep, which means that they do not qualify for a level 2 pay. We've already paid out the first level, we're looking to pay the second level.
So in a structure that does not have this type of dynamic compression, what is that? That's then breakage to the company.
Yep. That is what considered breakage is. I mean, it ends up just going back to the company and it doesn't get paid out to
and Gordon refers to it as a dirty secret of the industry. And
Yeah.
it really is a dirty secret. And nobody talks about it because people will be like, when you say, hey, we have dynamic or streamlined compression, that's about where it ends with most people. Like, well, I don't know what you're talking about. So we want you to understand this really well. And as Ray likes to say, joke about, it's better to experience it than it's easier to experience than to try to explain it, but just help people understand the streamlined compression is a massive selling point in the company.
And I'm going to keep hammering this home. It's all about alignment. We want to be aligned with you. You want to be aligned with each other. So this whole plan is all about alignment, right? The more aligned we are in our efforts and our drive, I mean, first it's people and product, right? Because we want to create real change in people's lives. And that real change comes with dynamic, unique products that work and help us all be healthy and happier. And people with community and opportunity. And an important part of that is the compensation plan. And so throughout everything that we do, we think about alignment internally with what we're doing internally, alignment with what you're doing as a customer, as a business builder, and how we can make sure that we're helping you have alignment across the board as well.
Absolutely, good point. And there's a lot of companies out there that don't have dynamic compression. So the fact that you have dynamic compression here is actually pretty huge.
Yeah.
So we're looking to pay out our level 2 still. So now we see that the next up line is a Brava rep. We know from the chart on the right, Brava rep gets paid level 2. So we're going to go ahead and pay this one out. We're paying out $5 for the level 2. That's 5% of the 100 CV. So now we're going to keep looking up line. We've got to pay out a level 3 pay. So if you'll click the next one, you're going to see the Brava rep only gets paid on 2 levels. So they're going to get skipped because they do not qualify to get paid on the level 3. So even though we are at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 levels, 4 levels above the actual order, we're still only looking to pay level 3. So you can see how this is compressed through all those 2 separate levels that got 0%. So the next one, if you will, now you're going to see level 3 payout. 10% is going to go to Kappa. Again, on the chart, you can see that a Kappa is the first level that you're going to get that is the first rank that you're going to get that 3rd level of pay. So we're going to pay out $10, which is 10% of the 100. Now, if we go up again, now we're looking to pay out a level 4, and a Kappa does not qualify for level 4. So in this scenario, they didn't qualify to get paid, but we're still looking to pay upline for that level 4. Quinto does get a level 4, so they're going to get $5, which is 5% of the 100 CV. And then again, upwards, you're going to see a difference here. Now, we've talked about in each rank so far that if I had a Brava rep right above a Brava rep, it cut out some of the compression. But you'll notice in the chart on the right that the difference between the Kappa and the Quinto, you actually gain 2 levels of pay at the Quinto. So that means that if I am a Quinto myself and I have a Quinto below me, I'm no longer cut out of any pay through the dynamic compression. That's a really cool factor for you guys to have. So, but if you're at the Kappa or Brava rep ranks, one thing to note, try and keep a higher rank than the people below you so that you can constantly make sure that you're part of this dynamic compression that's happening throughout your organization. So that talks about dynamic compression. This is paying through the baseline structure and how that would look. It's still going to keep paying upline though until it hits all 8 levels. So we've only paid out 5 in this example, but if you'll go to the next slide for me, you can see that this could be paying you on 25 levels, or the next slide. It could even be 75 or more. Dynamic compression can happen. You could end up getting paid on someone on your 100th level because and it does happen. We've seen it.
It's always going to search. It's always going to search for the next qualifying person. So if there's a ton of people within your organization that for whatever reason are not qualifying, it's going to keep finding all the way up and work its way all the way up to you.
Absolutely. So if you'll go to the next slide for me now. Now we're going to talk about sprints, and compression is also a part of our weekly pay. So with our sprints, so you have your 100 CV order at the bottom. Once again, we're going to look at how this is going to pay out.
This is also the first time we're kind of introducing how an affiliate would come to this point.
Yes.
Well, so we'll get into that too.
Absolutely. So this is how a order will pay out through the sprints with dynamic compression. So we've got affiliates here at the bottom of the screen that you can see. An affiliate only gets paid on their level 1s. And through that, they're going to get 25% of the pay. So that's 25% of the 100 CV, which is $25. Now, if we're looking upwards, we're going to say, well, affiliates only got paid on level 1 on an actual structural pay, but we're looking at this as 2 separate pay scales. You've got the affiliate pay on the level 1, but then you're also looking to pay at level 1 and 2 to the upline distributors as well. So as we go up looking at this, you're going to see your first level 1 qualified at the rep, which is 0 QV required, is going to get level 1 pay of 25% of 50 CV. Well, you might be asking, why is it 25% of only 50 CV when the total order was 100 CV? The answer to that is we've already paid out the other portion of the 50 CV to that affiliate that's at the bottom. So now we're looking to pay out the remaining 50 CV, and that's going to go to your level 1 and level 2 pay that you can see on the top 2 ranks on your screen.
So I think what we'll do in the future is I think we could have 2 kind of side by side. So we have one that shows the example with an affiliate in the mix, and one that shows an example if it's just representatives or distributors.
Because if there's not an affiliate in the mix, then your distributor pay on these first 2 levels would actually be greater, because now you're paid off of the 100 CV and not just the 50 CV for the distributor side of it.
Yeah, so in that scenario where it's there's not an affiliate that is in the mix, and we haven't really touched on this yet, but the way that we've structured this whole plan is that it will be very conducive to have affiliates right within your organization structure, and it's going to be very motivating for you to actually go out there and find affiliates to come in, because they'll be able to make great money. You'll be able to get compensated off of their efforts, and their efforts will also add volume to your organization for rank advancements, and their efforts will also add money into the global bonus pools. So we'll get more detailed on explaining how that works. But in a scenario where there wasn't an affiliate, it was a representative or distributor that was making that initial sale, then that is, or purchase, that would be $25 to them.
Yep.
On the first level, and then the second level would be a 10% payout. $10.
Yep.
From the sprint perspective. So essentially, we're making sure that we're always paying out on sprints 2 levels, 25% and 10%. The only difference between when an affiliate is in the mix, there's another level of payout because of the affiliate's payout first, and then that changes the mix on that sprint.
Okay, perfect.
And we'll get more refined on this as we go with future presentations and decks, and also the material that we put out there. So thanks for bearing with us as we go through this, and we identify areas that we can refine. And please be sure to ask questions on anything that is confusing.
Yep.
Both
Got quite a few questions.
during the chat here, or I mean in the Q&A section here during the presentation, but also afterwards. Keep them coming through people that you know are connected here, or by reaching out to support@oliabo.com. Support@oliabo.com. Keep the questions coming in so that we can make sure that we continue to refine what we're doing and what we're sharing, and to make sure that you're in the know and understand everything that we're doing.
While we're kind of on the subject of
yeah.
affiliates, someone's just asking, can you give us a brief explanation of what an affiliate is?
Yes, this is a good question. So when we're talking about affiliates, so within the direct selling space, people have started kind of using this term for distributors or representatives, but there's a difference and we're using affiliate in a traditional sense of how it's been used in internet marketing for decades. So representatives or distributors, that's like a traditional, that's what we're thinking of as like a traditional direct selling network marketing business builder in our organization. And an affiliate is a traditional affiliate marketing, advertising, internet marketing situation. So think of somebody like a social media influencer, where they're like, hey, I just got this awesome product from Amazon. You should check it out. I love it. Go buy it. And they get a commission from Amazon. Or maybe they are promoting some really cool new Grill Master seasoned salt for seasoning steaks. That they're just getting a one level commission in most of those situations from the products that they're promoting. Could be an influencer, it could be somebody sending out emails, it could be often this time of year we start to see like gift lists coming out on different websites or other things. And so that is more of just a direct, like straight one level commission. That's a traditional internet marketing affiliate, right? So it's just one level of commission, 10%, 15%, 20%, depending on what the company and the affiliate work out. And so we're building within our structure, directly built into the structure, so that it benefits you, it benefits the upline, it benefits the global bonus pools, it benefits your team volumes, the affiliate structure within that. Affiliates always get 25% of their sales. So it's kind of like an affiliate is always in like a sprint structure, just one level of sprint structure. So this is essentially how affiliate sales would pretty much work, right? So they're going to get 25% on it, all of their customers, because all of their customers are going to be frontline. They're only selling to customers. This allows you to go out to those of your friends or associates or those influencers, affiliates in the traditional sense that you want to recruit into your business, and gives them an easy way to do something that they already know. You don't have to try to explain a network marketing structure, dynamic compression, unilevel, none of that. It keeps it simple because they understand, hey, come check out Oliabo's affiliate program. It's 25% payout, come and get involved. They get involved, they're in your organization, in your actual team structure, They get a one-level payout of 25% on all of their customers. And then the other portion, the other 25% of that flows up either in the sprint or in the unilevel. In a unilevel situation, we should make a note to outline this in some visuals as well. In a unilevel structure, let me go back to that.
Which, by the way, that's a respectable payout, isn't it, within the affiliate world?
Yeah, 25% is great. And the other thing is that it allows you to actually.
That'll incentivize some out there.
Yeah,
and I want to do that.
And the reality is like, oh man, but then that takes away from the pay for the distributors. Because if we don't have affiliates in here, there was no opportunity for that volume and that compensation to come your way in the first place. So we've made it so it's fully unified so that you can take advantage, they can take advantage, it all works together and flows up accordingly. So let me show you how that would work within the unilevel. So let me go back to that. Sorry, bear with me here. Okay, so in the unilevel, think of it this way. If it was an affiliate who had made the sale, they would get 25% of the 50% payout of the CV, right? The other 25% that's still available would then get split up 5, 5, 10, 5, 5, 5, 5, 5. So if that was like a dollar amount, let's say it was 100 CV. No, let's do the 220 example because that's easier to explain. So a $220 two Prima purchase, that's 200 CV, that's $100 in actual commissions that get paid out. 25%, if that was an affiliate that had generated that sale, 25% of that $100 of payout that's going out from that $220 sale, $25 would get paid to the affiliate. No, $50, sorry, because it's 25% of the 200 CV.
Correct.
Try to make simple numbers for myself and I'm screwed it up already. So 200 CV, 25% of that, $50 goes to the affiliate for that. That's a pretty healthy commission. That's very motivating for an affiliate. But then you get credit for the QV and for the volume that they're generating. But the other $50 that's going to be paid out is then split up into the 5%, 5%, 10%, into all these different levels within the unilevel. So that way you get the benefit of both the volume and the payout. Sure, the payout's smaller percentage of the overall payout because they're taking a bigger chunk at the 25%. But again, it gives you the opportunity to actually have that volume in the first place. It gets them in the door in a way that they understand. And if they're always just an affiliate, that's great. It's going to pile tons of volume into your organizations, into your teams, tons of compensation into the global bonus, lots coming up to the unilevel. And it then is a simple way to expose them to, whoa, what is this network marketing thing? Wait, I can do all these other things and have the opportunity to build a much larger business and organization and have a lot more opportunity. Wow, maybe I should look at that. So it's a way to really unify these things that's never fully properly been done before.
And to help introduce them to the world of residual income, because the more they build depth, the more residual.
Yeah, and that's the other thing, right? Like in most traditional affiliate
that we try to teach.
That's true. In most traditional affiliate marketing compensation plans, they make a sale, they introduce a new customer to a company, and they get a one-time commission. They don't get ongoing residuals when that customer continues to purchase products from the company. It's one time. But in this structure, they'll get residual income from any ongoing customer purchases. So it's going to knock it out of the park for affiliates, which is going to help knock it out of the park for you and for the company. And again, it's that alignment. It's creating perfect alignment. Other companies in the space, we see them trying to kind of bolt on an affiliate program so that they can try to accommodate affiliates, but they don't really understand what they're doing in that world. And so they don't know how to properly integrate it. And it often ends up competing with what you're trying to do and becoming a big mess. So hopefully that wasn't overly in-depth or confusing, but we'll get better at clarifying that. We'll create some good visuals around that, but just know that it creates a great unified, aligned opportunity on all sides.
Question came in, any PV requirement for affiliates?
No PV requirements for affiliates. And we're also structuring things in a way that there's no PV requirements. Affiliates are we're trying to make it just very much like a regular affiliate structure so that there's no requirements for them. It's very much like they're already used to in anything that they're doing out there in their affiliate marketing efforts. So yeah, no PV requirements for an affiliate. They only get that one level, but they're primarily focused on just bringing in customers and selling to customers directly anyway. And so we're trying to keep things very simple for them to allow us all to benefit from that. Okay, thank you for bearing with me there. Let's go through this here. Okay, global bonus. So we talked about quarterly compensation opportunity. So quarterly compensation opportunity, that's the global bonus. So there's 5% from both the quick start from the sprints that comes into this, and 5% from the unilevel baseline that comes into this. This is going to become a massive, massive pool of commissionable volume that will be divided pro rata amongst qualified leaders. It starts out when you hit that Premio pay level and you qualify for that Premio rank in the Premio pay compensation plan, you will qualify to start participating in getting a pro rata piece of this massive, massive global bonus pool. It'll be pretty incredible. The elite.
This is where you make a lot of money.
Yeah, so these will be paid out quarterly based on qualifying in those quarters that it will be paid on. Huge opportunity to really level up your business from this point. You'll be able to build a really healthy business in those smaller levels. It'll make it great for people who are working on building a business part-time while they're doing other things. But as you get to a level where you can then start participating in the global bonus, it really then ups your game, ups your compensation. Huge opportunity. We touched on the elite bonus pool. That's another 5% that comes out of the sprints. That will be, I can't remember exactly what level that will be at that you'll participate in that, but it's one of the higher ranks that we're working on refining right now. So another level for you to aim towards and reach towards, that will be another bonus pool. So what else? We talked about incentives and how we have an incentive pool that we're building. One of the important things that we're going to do with that is reward trips, right? We talk a lot about the principles we're working from and building towards. And again, it's people and product. And an important part of people here is the community that we're building. Yes, this presentation is focused on the compensation plan and the rewards for that. An important part of that we think is reward trips. But an important part of the reward trips is the community that builds, the personal experiences and growth that allows for you, but the opportunity for us to come together and to solidify relationships and community through some incredible trips and opportunities that we're going to be putting out there.
Man, those trips are so fun.